All right, yo. What up, y'all? I'm making this vlog after I did a short that got some attention. I just want to do that one just to get something out there, but now I got I'm willing to do a whole vlog video about this opinion. And the opinion is about Tupac being one of the probably the biggest black revolutionary sellout of the 90's. And I say that because, for him having two black revolutionary parents, that he was in communication with his dad, and this, if you know all the legacy about his dad and what he was pushing and how he was educating and what he was in the prison system, yeah, and for Tupac to be on the outside and just be trying to just blend in with everything pop culture that was going on, because it was a lot of money going along. It was a lot of money and attention. It's completely opposite what his dad and his parents and the revolution that they stood for. Just because the NWA type rap was getting attention and that style was picking up. We talk about everybody how the industry stopped funding conscious rap and went to main gangster rap and all that. Well, Tupac ran right into it. He was one of the main ones that threw his jumped across that line and brought his talents over there. The Black Revolutionary one, right? We didn't see Rakim or KRS-One come over here and just make a full on gangster rap NWA album, just so they can blend in with the sound, So for with Tupac, he one that when the industry went that way, he went that way right along with the industry, and and it was kind of basically to me, opposite what his dad was pushing, and it's like a lot of this stuff is kind of clear as day. If somebody was doing the exact same thing as Tupac was doing in this day and age, people will call him out. In this vlogging, live stream day and age, where people can sit up for 2 or 3 hours and break down pictures of you and all this shit, they would have been called out Tupac for some of this stuff. And, they probably wouldn't even be listening to All Eyes on Me by the time it came out with all this stuff. They'd be like, Tupac used to hang with Crips. Like, look how they talk about Snoopy Badass. They keep looking at how they trying to poke holes at him about him hanging with Crips before and then all this and where he was at and all that. Pac was hanging with Crips before, and then he hopped on with Bloods and started red ragging, So, but just all in all, this is the fact that he had black revolutionary parents in his life. A lot of these other people he was hanging around grew up in the streets and all. I mean, he grew up in the streets too, but they kind of didn't have all that guidance. He actually had some of that in his life, and to still, and then he kind of basically, when he saw the limelight and all that, and how they even say with, you can see a lot of this in the context of other people when they talking to him about situations, with the Biggie Smalls saying, the Bishop Road took him to a different thing and made him start acting different and all that. So, and then with the Menace to Society, where basically, from what I get, he just didn't want to play the Sharid dude. I guess his name was the Muslim dude to get shot up. He didn't want to play that role because he wanted something to be more thug life. Because it was 93 or however 92, and they filming this, and he's hanging with Spice One and all this. He's in all the East Bay players and all this, and he wants to still be in that. So how can you a son of a black revolutionary parents, but yet these new friends and all this stuff got you, rebelling against this role because you don't want to be that? Why didn't you want to? Why wouldn't he have wanted to input and impute his black revolutionary culture and everything his dad was and all that into the role of the movie, and said, and just said, well, the thug life shit is just gonna have to come second to it, or I'm not gonna sit here, and if I know This message is bigger than Thug Life. Why would I sit here and let a Thug Life culture that's just current right now that I'm just using, fuck off this. Tupac was in his 20s. Tupac was a grown man when he got to California. He was young. He was in his early 20s, but he was in his 20s. He was not teen-ish. He was 20. So, I mean, it's a lot. But when you have black revolutionary parents, he was morphing into this, and he morphed into all this in his 20s. So there was more of an excuse to use common sense. Say, hey, you know what, man, nah, you know. So yeah, that's kind of more of a detailed, insight into the logic. I say, the statement of Tupac being one of the biggest revolutionary sellouts of the 90s, because for him to obtain that platform and untimely death, but look up into the point he was releasing All Eyes on Me. Look at everything, the tone of everything it was. He was more so just kind of blending in and being the voice of the ghetto versus speaking to them as if he could have been like a Farrakhan, as on a revolutionary standard to actually go against some of the right, because he actually took a knee to the altar of gangbanging, right? And now you see people whining about gangs and all this in some fashion, and this things being out of control. And I don't really see how in Tupac's message how he was saying anything that could have altered was what it looks like now. So he really just, as for somebody who had black revolutionary parents, and to get a spotlight like that, and he really kind of missed his target of what he could have been doing with his time. And just look how he just wasn't moving in his purpose. You can just see so many of the signs. He hanging out with groupies and getting accused of like some wild sex with some groupies. Then he's getting shot up. Then he getting shot at. Going to a rap studio. Him and Trench getting all these little fights and disputes and just all the little stuff he getting into in the streets and shit. All this shit that you look back that has already been glorified after his death, and you look at now, and that all of it just him not moving in his purpose and just kind of becoming a victim of a lot of these things. And you see kind of a lot of it, whether him not moving in his purpose. Right now, if Tupac wasn't a person that everybody loved, and you seen all this stuff going on in someone else's life that was somebody that really didn't care about, you would be able to make all the examples that you make is typically. You'd be like, oh, that's somebody not moving in their purpose. Oh, that person wasn't living up to he had parents, he wasn't moving in, and they wasn't moving in their purpose. They wasn't moving in what they were supposed to be doing. They was just out here running the streets. You would describe that person in a very stereotypical fashion. If somebody else if all that stuff Tupac went through was pushed on, was portrayed or illustrated through a person that y'all really didn't care for, right? But yeah, Tupac he was a lot of all these statistics and stereotypes that y'all kind of just talk to kids about and not becoming, and all this. Yeah, I mean, Tupac kind of went into a lot of them. Somebody that was not moving in his purpose, and he's becoming a victim of all this shit before the killing, and then even the Vegas situation. He's at a boxing match, right? This whole situation, he's at a live event boxing match, and and they see somebody they know, and then they beat up him. They at the casino, MGM Grand, and they see somebody and they jump him, and then they riding around on the strip. All this shit, just not him moving in the whole scenario of him not moving in his purpose. You know, not saying he could have not avoided that, but the gang, just the way he was outside like that. And this was a black revolutionary, son of a black revolutionary parents. You know? Now, I'm not saying everybody could be perfect, but, you know, how can you guys be critical of these new rappers and the new generation and the youth when you accept them with Tupac? You know, you had a Tupac running around that, from what all you see now, when people talk about the legacy, y'all, that, you know, he was running around out of his purpose, outside of his purpose with a lot of them. You know, hanging around a lot of the rappers in the Bay Area out of his purpose, and everybody was cool with it. But now you'll tell these youth, as they sit around and somebody like that around them, to whine, you know, to nag them, to do all this shit, to just you know, say all this and this and this and that to them. You wouldn't even consider, oh, they good at music, so blah blah blah. Nah, you'd be like, well, you know, you be telling them still moving their purpose, stay in your lane, all that typical shit. So, you know, I'm gonna cut this video short here. I'm gonna cut this video out right here now. It's pretty detailed, you know, from the short I made. So yeah, thank y'all for listening. One.